Hello, welcome back to Life as Mrs. C.
Hi, my name is Ruth.
And I am Lydia.
Today, our topic of conversation is how to get along with difficult in-laws. So we're continuing on our series of Dear Newlywed, and we thought this would be a really good topic to address.
Yeah, definitely.
Thing to address at the beginning is acknowledging that your in-laws are people.
Yeah, just like
anybody else.
Yeah.
So there are gonna be people that you as a person
in a special group.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you have different categories of people, and just like even in your family, there might be people that you don't get along with. So it's not uncommon if you find that you're having difficulties with your in-laws, because you can have difficulties with anybody else, and it's acknowledging that and then addressing those difficult issues or whatever they are, in terms of you as a couple with your in-laws, depending on which in-laws you might be having difficulties with, or it could be both.
Yeah, just being comfortable with the fact that, you know, not everyone will like you, and you will not like everyone due to different reasons, really, and that's okay.
Absolutely.
I think it's very helpful when you have the mindset of knowing that not everyone will like you, or I won't get along with everybody.
Exactly.
It sort of makes you get comfortable to nurture relationships that are willing to be nurtured, and to also be civil with relationships that are willing to be civil. So
having that mindset as a Christian of saying, I will love my neighbor, but it's not everybody's going to be your best friend. Like, not every in-law is going to be your best friend, but you have to show love towards one another as we are commanded to. So it's having that mindset when you're entering into the relationship, or as you're, you know, if you're having difficulties with your in-laws, and that will also help you to address them, which leads us to our first point. So how do you address these things?
Well, the first point is, before you point the finger at the next person, it's assessing yourself. Like, what's making you feel as though the other person is difficult? You know, because sometimes, I mean, people can say, oh, you know, that person is difficult because they don't want to integrate, or, you know, they are so demanding, and all that. So you need to ask yourself, why is it that I find them to be, you know, difficult, or why do I find that nurturing this relationship is a challenge? Okay, so, and you have to be self-critical. You have to be critical of yourself. You have to be honest. You know, analyze yourself, and it can be really difficult, because you'll be like, you will find ways of justifying yourself. You'll be like, oh no, but you know what, I behave like that because of this. There are certain things where, like you said in the other video, picking your battles. Okay, it's not everything that you have to be very critical of and everything, because it makes it difficult for yourself as well. So, you know, get to the root.
Why
is it that
why am I saying that they are difficult? And is it that the situation is difficult, or is it that I am the problem, or is it that they are the problem, or is it that both of you are the problem?
Personality clash.
Exactly.
You know, when there's a personality clash, the other person will be thinking, oh, you are the problem, and the other one is like, you are the problem. It's just the personality clash. And I think for me, when I realize it's a personality clash, I'm just like, okay,
how do you deal with it?
This is where I try as much as possible to be civil. Okay, I accept this is who Lydia is, and sometimes we're not comfortable to change, but I am willing to be civil. I think it becomes different if you are living with this in-law. But if it's somebody that I meet probably on special occasions, not so often, I'm more than willing to be very civil. I think
the situation, I think you really have to understand what that difficult situation is, and why you're calling it difficult, because that will also help you address it. Like you said, if you're living together, because there's some times where you live with your in-laws where you can't just ignore it and accept, because then maybe your mannerism and the way that you behave will be very different, but you need to address it. But maybe like you said, picking your battles, if you don't see the person so often, perhaps that's something that you're willing to live with, and be like, you know what, I only have to deal with this once a year, once every few months, so I can deal with it, it's okay.
There are some who are really difficult, like even you being civil with them, they'll make a meal out of it. When I realize that I just take cover. Like, no, sure.
No, definitely understand why you call it difficult. And I think, which I was looking to see what our next point is. When you understand what it is, but the other person who can help you to understand that is your spouse. So it's not just a battle by yourself, like we addressed in the last video. You come as a unit, you and your husband, you and your wife are as a unit. So speak to your wife about this difficult situation. Speak to your husband about this difficult situation. And then that in itself, you have somebody else to also add some light to the situation, to shed some light. That's what I would, and say, oh,
the spouse also needs to be very objective.
They do, because it's a family thing, you know. There's something about family.
There's something about blood. There's
because
something
they'll be
about
busy saying, they do need to be objective. You need to stand back and really try and help your wife or your husband to understand the situation, because they've brought it to you, and it's something that can bring a lot of drama, a lot of difficulties in your marriage if it's not addressed properly. So speak to your and identify why you have that problem. Speak to your husband or your wife about it, and try and find solutions. And this is where we go back to our previous video. Remember when we were talking about some difficult conversation we can have, like like intimacy? Because we're so quick to say, to go and find somebody else to talk to about it. Oh, my mother-in-law is this. Oh, my sister-in-law is this. Oh, my brother-in-law is this. Actually, speak to your wife. Speak to your husband. Try and address the situation together, because they know that person as well. So they may be like, you know what? I know my sister. That is how she is, and we've had trouble in the family trying to deal with it. This is how you could try and figure out how to deal with it. So they're not always going to be blind about it, but you guys can actually even come up with solutions yourselves.
There are some relatives, Ruta, who are so protective, like they know their relative is wrong, but they're just like, you know what, you need to do something about your personality, and they're like, Yeah, so how do you deal with that then? So if your husband or your wife is not on your side, I think in that situation, obviously as a well-meaning spouse, okay, as a well-meaning spouse, I think for me it's where like I say, just be civil, okay, and also not to let my husband know that this is how I feel and this is how far I want to go, and or rather I am willing to go. You know, just make things clear. Like we said, it's a difficult conversation, and you will have to accept that they might not agree with you, but if your heart is at peace, you know that what you've done is the best you could. And obviously, above all, it's so important to pray for these relationships. I'm telling you, like, praying for our in-laws, praying for ourselves, because sometimes, you know, we fail to be gracious. You're just like, these people
I can't do
every time they're here, they're just coming unannounced, and they're there grinding within yourself.
Every day that can't be that, and how do definitely asking God to help you through it, because it is through God helping us with patience, because if we are commanded to love our neighbor, love our cousin, love everyone, love is about being patient, love is about being, you know, forbearing one another, and yes, of course, you don't want to take people for granted, and you don't want people to take you for granted, but it's about, if you like you said, if you pray about it and ask God to guide you, perhaps that thing that they really annoy you over, your threshold might actually just be lowered. You may just have patience for it, and you'll be like, actually, it doesn't annoy me as much as it used to before. But definitely going before the Lord about it. But I was also thinking, finding somebody else to talk to, and somebody who is objective, so somebody who can look into your lives. And this is where the beauty of having marriage counselors who stick in your marriage, who are still there throughout your marriage, come into play, because then at least you have somebody who's not from one family or the other family, because that can make it difficult.
Neutral,
someone who's just for you too, and can look at the situation
from an independent, giving an independent view.
Yes. So speaking to someone about it, if you both don't agree, and you might be thinking your partner doesn't agree with you, but like we said, actually you are the problem, and you just need somebody to tell you that you are the problem.
And I think obviously, like, going for external help, we are now looking at, the extreme, because we're talking to newlyweds, and sometimes, like if you look at how brave you are today, that's not how brave you were in your first year of marriage.
Yeah,
like standing up to somebody and just telling them, like, like personally, I struggled with that. It's like, oh, you know what, trying to make everybody happy.
Yes.
Like, oh, my family, my husband, then his family. Because the thing is, it would be so easy if you made your husband happy, and then it automatically means you've made his family happy. But then there are 3 people that you actually need to please, 3 groups of people. There's your husband here who might think otherwise. Then there is his family who is in their own space thinking otherwise. And then your family, and you're trying to, balance it. Your main issue here should be, is the rightful people are happy. And I think the rightful person is the person I'm living with, who is my husband. So I make sure,
because that's every day, isn't it? That's every day. And like the other
people,
I was like, what?
wait, like, look, they're gonna go. Probably the next time I'll meet them, they would have calmed down. But this is my relative.
It's good to be here every day. I'm gonna wake up with you every day.
So it's really like in just extreme situations where you feel like, okay, here I don't think I am brave enough. Because sometimes, even if you are brave and you're like, I'm going to face this head on, and then it just backfires. You're just termed as this unruly child, or a disrespectful person. But then and I'm not saying you might not be classified as that, but if you're going to be classified as somebody who is disrespectful, it has to be at a point where you have done the best. Okay, the best with all the wisdom that is accessible to you.
Absolutely.
If I can say that. But let's say if someone in this instance is interfering in your home, if you find that there is a particular in-law who, for some reason or the other, they are just there and it's making you uncomfortable, because the last thing you would want is being uncomfortable in your own home, in your own home,
not having peace. I mean, that's a huge priority for me. Like, you want to have peace, you want to be comfortable in your home. So like you said, if you're making your spouse unhappy, that's not gonna bring peace in your home, because that's an everyday thing. That's an everyday person I see. So if there's no peace between us, if there's no peace in my home, what? So it's about prioritizing and understanding and always seeking God, of course, because you don't want to be rude, but at the same time you're not going to be best friends with everybody. The same way not everybody at work you get
no matter how polite you will be, they'll always classify you to be rude.
Or maybe that one thing that you did, that one is marked. So no matter what you do,
you've made a dent.
Forever, it's a done deal. So what are you going to be yourself and let God help you to be the best person He wants you to be, because that out of that will flow the way you need to work, the way you need to communicate and live with other people, than trying to please people, trying to please your in-laws all the time. You end up displeasing yourself, and also if you're not pleased,
I think it crushes you, because it's like, you are in this space where you're thinking, I thought I was doing right by you. And I think that's something, another thing, like to just, dealing with people who are difficult in the family, is whenever you do something, it's not for them to come on your side. Do it because you have taken a responsibility to do it, or you just want to be there. Like, never go with the mind of, I
want to please her so that she can be happy with me and be like, she's the best daughter-in-law, she's the best son-in-law.
Just do what you have to do, and then move on with your life.
Exactly, because then you will move on. It's true, because if they don't acknowledge that, you'll be upset because you didn't do it from the heart of not receiving something back, not receiving acceptance from it. You just did it because, I wanted to help my sister-in-law. I just wanted to help because she's another person that I love. So and
I think that, like, if people were to go away with something, I think the biggest thing is making sure you're doing it right by your spouse. Like, that's your ultimate priority. I find it like, if you put your spouse as the ultimate priority, even if these other people, are throwing whatever they want to throw, there will be peace, because there will be somebody who will hold you, there will be somebody who will have your back. But when you are pleasing the people outside, and you're thinking, because I've heard a notion like, oh, it's just good, to be in very good books with the in-laws, because when you have problems between the two of you, then there are people who can help you, who can speak to him. I would say there is some truth to it, but not the ultimate.
Yes, there is truth to it.
There is truth
if there is somebody in that family who that your spouse recognizes and respects, but if there isn't, then so it only works if there is truly someone who
exactly. So it doesn't really hold that much water. It does hold water, but not that much. So you have to do right by your spouse and just accepting that. I think it's also, like I was talking about being brave. When it comes to your home, stand your ground.
Yep.
It's your space.
It is your home.
It's your home. So you need to, the fact that you two have decided to get married, it shows something.
Absolutely. So, you're ready to create a home together.
Yeah.
And which leads us really nicely, your point, into our other point, which is, we need to look out for each other, which we've addressed before. So if you're having a difficult situation with your in-laws, then, and you've spoken to your spouse about it, you've tried all the different solutions, they're not working, and like with anybody, if you're having a problem with them, it is good to address, and you need to pick your battles. And if you choose to address it, think about what's the best way of us addressing this, because we've tried all of this, but they're still doing it, or he's still doing it. And as your spouse, you want to be on the same team. So is it better that it comes from your mouth, even though maybe it's not affecting you directly? Is it better that it comes from my husband's mouth than from my mouth? And of course that could bring problems, because they'll be like, no, that's not our son, that's not how he would, that's not something that he would say, and that's definitely coming from her. But either way, or the other way, is it better it comes from the wife to speak to her relatives? They all three sit together and have somebody else also to come in to sit with them, to say, okay, let's address this issue. And who can you trust as a family? Because you know what, you can be busy saying this, but saying, oh, my in-law is like that, but you've never told them, and they don't know. Some of them, and you've painted a picture.
They will be so oblivious.
They just don't know. They just thought, you know what, that was a way of like, maybe visiting you all the time, right? You would think that they were just showing you love. They're visiting you. They're not calling you. You're thinking,
give us space. We need space.
Not again. But for them, they were like, oh no, you know what? I haven't visited my daughter-in-law this weekend. I need to make it a point. You know what? I'm not coming to that kitchen party. I'm not going there. I'm going to visit. And they're doing it out of love. And you just, because you haven't spoken to them, you don't understand.
Yeah, I think like what you've said is a really good point. Some behaviors can really come from a good place, which can be misread. And that's why probably our first point was, you need to assess what this issue is. And also, just like, if you're going to tell the person, okay, it should be, something that okay, if they are approachable. I mean, if let's say if you have built a certain relationship and somebody goes beyond something, you can just respectfully, have a chat with them and say, this made me uncomfortable. And it's also the words that we use.
How you communicate,
the words that you pick. Telling somebody how uncomfortable it makes you feel, or if somebody is meddling in decisions that you make in your home, you just let them know, like, this is what my wife and I are comfortable with, or this is what my husband and I are comfortable with. So when you come up with these ideas, they do make us feel uncomfortable. I think that's polite.
I think so. I think so.
But
it's hard. You can't always win. Like we said, you will not always win. And that's just the way life goes. You will not always win, but try your best to be at peace with everybody. And sometimes being at peace may mean being away and not always so close together. If that makes any sense. Like, not always having to see each other every day, because you're just arguing every day. So maybe if you see each other once a week, that's better.
Even once a week, I think, is too much.
Anyway, I was just giving an example. But guys,
I think I could do seeing you once a week.
Yes, so she was talking about me all this time. I honestly don't see you as an in-law, which is really probably like why I'm just
is it a problem?
What? That
you don't see me as an in-law?
No, because I don't think it's a problem, because maybe as an in-law, maybe I wouldn't be as free, because I have these perceived ideas, which are it's my problem, because I have these perceived ideas. But because we built a relationship, not because we're in-laws, but just because I would say Lydia's my friend. So if someone asked me who my friends, I would add you to my list. So if someone asks me who's my in-law, it's a bit, I'm not even on your list. Oh my days.
No, what do you mean?
No, but you know, it's about building a relationship. All right, guys, we decided to cut it there. I hope you learned a thing or two. I hope you picked up some things. And also, if you got any other tips on how to get along with in-laws, please leave them in the comments, because I think some people might find them very helpful.
Yeah. People do read. They might not acknowledge it, but I do believe that
definitely.
people do
I read. I don't always acknowledge.
Right.
Thank you for watching. Until next time.
Bye.